Hey everybody, welcome back to the 9 Essentials of Web Success. We're on our 4th session, e-commerce strategy, AdWords and SEO. For those of you just joining us in our series, I'm Marjorie Gates, Digital Marketing Manager for Broad Street Consulting. I've been working with Broad Street for about 6 years. I'll be monitoring the GoToMeeting chat board during the webinar, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to type it in the chat and we'll address it at the end of the presentation. And with that, we'll get started. Thank you for joining us, and please welcome Tom Sliker.
Hello, I'm Tom Sliker. Welcome to session 5 of the 9 Essentials of Web Success. Today we're going to talk about e-commerce strategy and Google AdWords, or also known as pay-per-click. Overview of, there's my contact information on the front page here. Feel free to contact me, reach out through these means. Also, just an overview of Web Success, what we're trying to do. This is a program that we've been developing over about 10 years, working with small customers, small businesses who are seeking to be #1 on Google, dominate their local markets, sell online. And we also help people stay connected with customers, reach a next generation of customers, okay? We're mostly about reaching new customers, increasing sales, and improving your bottom line. So there is a Web Success intro. If you haven't seen it, it's best to watch these 10 episodes in order. But at the same time, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for watching this show either live or over YouTube. So websuccess.guru is a way that you can find us, get you to the Broad Street Web Success page. All right, so the Web Success strategy, just a review here today. We have talked about the 9 essentials, which are the 2 in blue here, the website and the storefront, and then these in red, which we call the 9 essentials altogether. And today we're going to focus primarily on e-commerce strategy and on the pay-per-click advertising, okay? So when I'm thinking about who am I targeting? I'm talking about targeting, but also thinking about targeting. And so our strength over the years at Broad Street Consulting has been folks who have businesses that have been around for a while and have had good success using traditional means of marketing, but they know that times are changing and they need to do something different. And so I've been able to work with these business owners and see how to implement more modern, more digital strategies to reach new customers, increase sales, and improve the bottom line. So that's what we try to do. So I want to just tell a little story about how I got the name Broad Street for our business. Because when I was a kid, I grew up in a little suburb, I guess you could say, of Trenton, New Jersey, on the outskirts of Trenton, in a little place called Yardville. And it was a nice little community, but kind of right between, in the middle of it was this road called Broad Street. And Broad Street was a very busy, highly trafficked area, and it was no place for a little kid to be riding his bikes around. It was very dangerous to cross. And so I lived a good portion of my early life on one side of Broad Street, and I had really never ventured on my own across that street. And so I think that Broad Street is a good metaphor for what a lot of small businesses go through at a certain point, and they realize that, you know, there's this whole world out there of digital media, of digital marketing, of social media, all these areas out there that you know how to make widgets or whatever it is that you sell. You know how to do your business, but at the same time, you don't have the experience necessary to navigate these troubled waters. And so in the same way that when I was a young man thinking about crossing Broad Street, I feel like now part of my role is to help you cross your own Broad Street and get into the world of digital marketing, digital media, help transform your business so that we can see you successful for many years to come. Reminder review here. This is what we call the customer view of the web success strategies. And so from here today, again, we're going to talk mostly about up here. We talked a little bit about how this, people are out there on the internet in the bottom right corner. They're searching for stuff. They're using Google or Yahoo or whatever, and they're trying to find information, YouTube, and then somehow they find you, and they click on something and they get drawn into your orbit, and ideally they very quickly become customers. And so today we're really going to talk about two steps. We're going to talk about the part where they find you using Google AdWords, and we're going to talk about the part where you take their money, which is the e-commerce. And so we're going to start with the e-commerce, and we're going to think about strategies. Now, I did have a couple of these worksheets. All these worksheets, if you haven't already, you can download them from broadstreetconsulting.net/downloads. And basically what we got there is each of these different 9 strategies, you can go through them and think about what it is that you want to accomplish. And so hopefully in the web success webinars here, we're giving you some ideas of things that you can do, should do, might do. And so you can actually go through here and hopefully use these tools to think about and plan, and ultimately to implement your changes to your business that you need to make to continue growth in a digital economy. And so the questions on each of those strategies, the questions on this one here for e-commerce, what is it that you can sell online? Some people haven't figured out how to sell online yet. Can you sell your products online? Do you accept credit cards? Those are things to think about as you're getting started. Does your website currently accept credit cards? You need to set that up. What about shipping? Do you actually ship physical products? Is it electronic products that you can transmit in some other way? How variable is your product and your price list? Is this something that has to change every day? Does it have to be real time, or you set it and let it go? So, and then also integration with inventory. Is it critical to have tightly integrated with your back end sales and inventory system? And so these are the things that can greatly impact the cost of an e-commerce implementation. We did talk in a previous episode a little bit about content management systems, right? So we talked about open source content management systems, Drupal, Joomla, WordPress, which are very popular and more or less free, but also some of these services like Wix and Squarespace and Website Builder. And so I just want to kind of talk a little bit about the e-commerce end of that, okay? And so Magento is an open source, fully functional e-commerce system that I have heard is very good. I've seen people use it, and the biggest thing is it's extremely flexible. Also can be very complicated, and sometimes it's hard to find good, talented people at a reasonable price. So Magento is good, very popular, and very powerful. BigCommerce and Shopify are both kind of hosted solutions where you can go on and build your own e-commerce store, and a lot of that's automated, and you pay a percentage of sales most likely for most of that. And then WordPress, we talked about WordPress. So WordPress is still the most popular platform out there on the internet, and a couple of WordPress plugins that are available, WooCommerce and Shopify are two very popular ones. And then Drupal comes with Drupal Commerce, which is a very solid, very expansible, very flexible product that can do just about anything. So what do you see when you get an e-commerce site, however you go about finding it and getting it? So typically there's some kind of what I call the catalog. So there's, kind of compare it to an old Sears catalog or whatever catalogs you get in the mail still. But basically it's usually grouped by category of some sort, and then there's a listing of products. And so this is the most basic kind of catalog page. It's not very different than a lot of the pages we see on Amazon, for example. And we've got our categories on the left, and then we've got our products down the middle, and we have the ability through this e-commerce system to add stuff to our cart. And so that's something that you would expect to get as part of your e-commerce system that you're putting in place. So you add to the cart, you have some kind of a shopping cart functionality where you can add, remove products, update things, and then ultimately do your checkout. So when you go through that checkout process, you need some kind of mechanism to get your website to collect that information, credit card information in particular, and then pass that along to some other service that can validate that it's a valid credit card and actually move that money when the time is appropriate. And so one of the nice things about having a service for that is that as a web host or as a website provider, I don't want to store your credit card numbers. I don't want to store your customers' credit card numbers on my system, right? So by using these services, we can basically, what we do is we collect that information, immediately pass it through a secured connection to these services, and then those services can process the credit card, and then they'll store it on their systems, okay? So PayPal is kind of the old pro here, been doing PayPal stuff for quite a long time. The Payments Pro is the most popular for small businesses because that lets you do all your transactions on your site without having to go to the PayPal page or anything like that. But Square, Stripe are also similar products that do very similar things. And in Authorized Net, my biggest experience with that has been working with existing merchant accounts that small businesses might have typically through larger banks. But Authorized.net is another means for processing credit cards. Another thing that sometimes people don't think about until it's ready to go live with a website is thinking about shipping. So the easiest thing is free shipping. Nowadays, people are getting to where they almost expect free shipping. With Amazon Prime, unfortunately, for a small business, Amazon Prime makes me expect to get 2 days free shipping all the time. And so that's a real challenge for you if you're shipping goods. But so certainly fast and free shipping is something that is great if you can give it away. But what we typically do is something like this, where we'll say have a minimal amount. And so we encourage larger orders where it's worth the margins there for us to give away shipping. But on smaller, not so much. So this is another kind of inexpensive, simple way to do shipping, is to just do it based on a purchase total. So it's a real simple formula. Most any of these systems I've mentioned can handle this very easily. More complicated and more possibly more accurate or better over time could be to have a real-time integration with UPS. So the problem is with shipping is, depending on the size of the item, depending on where it's going, there's a lot of variables. And so if you have those variables built into your system, where everything that you sell, has a weight and a size, dimensions, and et cetera, you can send that information over to UPS, and they'll send you back a real-time quote for the cost of shipping. And so you can do all that, but it is a lot of work to maintain all that information in your systems. And so it depends on exactly where you are and what you're doing, whether that's worth the effort or not. All right, so again, what we've looked at, we're talking about the flow of customers from out there on the internet, and we're talking about once we bring them in close enough that they see our products and they want to purchase, the things we've talked about today will help you to complete those transactions, to get people in your store, to get them to put things in their cart, and then to check out and give you their credit card. So now we're going to talk about how to get those people. So one of the ways we talked about previously was through organic search. So meaning, through content and ranking #1 on organic Google searches. But today we're going to focus more on the pay per click. All right. So pay per click meaning Google AdWords or Bing. So Google AdWords, we're going to talk about because Bing's basically the same. But Google AdWords is the advertising platform that helps drive interested people to your website. Okay, that's the most simplest explanation of Google Ads, but it's about getting people who are already interested in what you have to you. And the way this happens is, this example is about window repair, right? So somebody goes and types into Google window repair. And if you can see the slightly yellowish, at least to me, yellowish special, the top two ads there on the left, those are paid ads. Everything else below that is organic. But the way that those ads get there is through the use of keywords. And so somebody has decided, I want my ad to appear when people type in any of these phrases. So in this example, window repair, window replacement, broken window, window restoration, etc. So that's the basic concept of how Google AdWords works. People search for stuff, and people put in their advertising based on keywords. And so Google matches those up. So I'm going to give you just a couple examples. And this, I think I shared this one before, but this Mitsubishi Fuso FE transmission. What I wanted to bring to light here is, in this particular case, we have an example where we have both a paid ad and we have an organic search result. So I wanted you to kind of wanted to remind everybody the difference, reaffirm the difference here. But the one that says ad, if I click on that, I actually going to pay Google. Busby Truck Parts in this case is going to pay Google probably $1 or something close to that. Versus if I come down here and click on this purple one, that's the organic ranking. So the organic ranking is based on Google's decision that out of every web page on the internet for this particular search term, Busby Truck Parts is the best result for me. Okay, now you could search the exact same thing and you might get a slightly different result based on your location, based on language, settings. There's various different things that might decide whether it comes up number one for me or you. But anyway, that's our goal, is to have these things come up number one organically, but we also purchase advertising so that we can be the number one paid ad as well. So that's the key difference there. A couple of measures that I just wanted to highlight that we haven't really talked about, but are important as we start talking about Google AdWords, and we start talking about how do you, you're now paying money for people to click on your ads. And so we want to make sure that those, that's an effective use of your funds, right? So in this case, excuse me, we're looking at these two terms, click-through rate and cost per click. And I just picked this example because it's a good example that shows what we try to do, what we want to do all the time, and one of our steady goals, which is we want the click-through rate to go up. So click-through rate, if you think of it, 100 times that our ad is presented, how many times out of 100 do people click on it? And so if 3%, that means 3 times out of 100 that people see this ad, they click on it. And then the cost per click is how much, when they click on it, how much is it going to cost? How much do we have to pay Google? And so obviously we want our click-through rates to go up, because by having a higher click-through rate, Google is going to see this as a better use of their real estate, right? So they have just a limited amount of space on the Google search results page, and they typically only have 2 ads at the top. And so they want something that's going to convert. That's something that people are going to click on. Remember, Google gets paid per click. And so if your advertisement gets clicked on 5 out of 100 times, and mine only gets clicked on 2 out of 100, they're probably going to they're going to favor the one that gets 5% click-through rate, because it's a bit more likely that they're going to collect money for that transaction. So that's how the click-through rates work. We try to improve our click-through rates over time. The other thing that happens is, as you have a better click-through rate, Google, and using my example, where you have 5% versus a 2%, the one that gets 5% click-throughs may actually pay less for that number one position than I would with a lower click-through rate. So we try to have the high click-through rates, and we try to always improve our click-through rates, and that typically leads to better cost per click. All right, so I'm just going to bring up an example where I'm going to kind of show you how we have something set up, and I'm going to look at it, and we're going to discuss kind of where we might go. But the scenario is that we want to try to sell a bunch of crew cabins. We've already got some ads out there. We want to see what we're doing and see if we can do anything that might enhance our click-through rate and effectiveness of these ads. And so we're looking at the Isuzu crew cabin. There's kind of a close-up of it, and basically this is a 4-door cab, and we have a number of them that we want to sell. So one of the things that we do is we don't typically land people when they click on our ads. We want them to land on what we call a landing page, and by focusing on a landing page as a specific thing, what we're doing is we're really trying to drive a certain type of behavior. So in this case, most of the time, these are people who've paid, or we've paid to get them to click on our ad, and now they're coming to this page. We want to make sure we can convert them, and we call this a conversion if they click on our Call Now button, or if they click on requesting a specific part. Now, in this particular case, we don't sell these directly. You can't just add one to your shopping cart, because the prices are for discussion and the shipping is fairly complicated. So we try to drive phone calls, and we try to drive parts requests. And so in addition to these two key things that we want, which we would call our call to action, we also have really good content that links to the specific keywords, right? So we're looking at all these Isuzu cabs, including one crew cab that's there. So we have all that information there that helps us to do well in Google. One of the things, here's an example, okay? So we would have this Isuzu crew cab. So this is anybody who types in a search that has Isuzu plus crew and also the word cab. They have those 3 words, and you can see our click-through rate. So this is kind of our, how we look at this data and make determinations on how we're doing and what we might want to try to improve, or how we might change things going forward. But in this case, 3%, I think Google will tell you 3% is a very good click-through rate relative to others. And the reason is because we are very targeted in how we design this campaign. So people looking for Isuzu crew cabs, we've got within a campaign, we set up what we call ad groups. So Google lets you break down these campaigns into specific ad groups and focus on specific targeted keywords, as well as a specific targeted ads, specific landing pages, as you wish. So those are some of the things that we can do with Google. And then this just shows you kind of the some of the data that's available to us, right? We can look at all the keywords and how they're performing, and you can see, some have a better click-through rate than others. So Isuzu crew cab box truck for sale, for example, they like our ad, they click through 16%. But if you look, it's a much fewer number of clicks, right? So the more popular search terms, like Isuzu crew cab, has a lower click-through rate, whereas the more specific ones have higher, but a much smaller occurrence. And then last, I just wanted to show some ads. And so within these search terms, we now have specific ads that we want to show. And so, here you can see we always run 2 ads at a time. We try to always be comparing 2 different ads and trying to pick the best one and try to improve the other. And so we like to have 2 of them always ongoing for testing and comparison purposes. And so you can see we've got 2 different ads. They're very similar, but there's a few words changed, and sometimes just a few words will make a big difference in the click-through rates. In this case, there is a small difference. All right. And so what I wanted to share was we've talked about our e-commerce strategy, and then we've talked about our pay-per-click. And so the purpose of this session today was kind of help you determine how to get your e-commerce site ready to go, the things you might want to consider, and then also how to implement a pay-per-click campaign or particular search terms that will drive traffic to your landing pages and hopefully bring new customers to your business so that you can continue to grow your sales, reach new customers, and increase your bottom line. And so recap, we came back through bringing these searchers in through Google, AdWords, and then driving them to our e-commerce system and making them customers. So with that brings us to the end of session number 5. So we are now halfway through the 10 sessions of web success. And with that, I'm going to open up to questions and answers.
Okay, we got one question. AdWords is pay-per-click. Aren't there other ways you can advertise other than just on the search engine?
Yes, and we will talk more about that next week when we get into our Google AdWords deep dive. We'll be talking about the different types of advertising that you can do on Google. So yes, search is one part of that. There's also display ads, so that, for example, your images can show up on, when people are out on weather.com or CNN or whatever. So yes, besides search, we're also going to talk about display, and then within display, we're going to talk about how you can target specific markets, and also how you can do what they call remarketing, which means once people come onto your site, these images kind of track them, follow them around the internet, which of course everybody's seen that, where you went and looked at something on Amazon, and the next thing you know, you're seeing ads for these things all over the place. So that's we'll get into that much more next week. Okay, well, thank you all, and thank you for watching this 5th session of Web Success, and we'll keep you posted on what's coming in the future. Thanks.